everybody? Welcome back to Fed by Fire, where we break down the cases the mainstream barely touches, or they touch them, but they don't tell you the real scope, or the real patterns, or how this stuff actually moves through the streets, the borders, and the feds. But today's November 26, 2025, and this week had some wild stories that show you exactly how deep these networks run, from rural Georgia to St. Louis, from Harrisburg to South Florida. All right, and I'm going to walk you through each one the way I do best, with no hype, no fear, no fear-mongering, no glamorization, just real facts and real insight. Because I've seen the other side of this. I've lived inside the chaos these headlines come from, and I know I break it down so y'all don't get blindsided by the surface level. So let's get into it. Alright, case 1, the Blackberry Kilo Run. This happened in North Georgia. They found 719 kilos of ice. Let me start with something massive. Literally, the FBI, Atlanta, and local agencies hit 2 refrigerated trucks in Georgia and pulled out 1719 kilos of crystal. That's 1,585 pounds of product hidden inside a shipment of blackberries. I know this happens every day probably. 419 keys in a truck parked outside a home in Atlanta, and 300 more sitting in another truck in Hall County. Shout out Hall County. Same method, same packing style, same cold chain transport. Both traced back to Mexico, almost definitely connected to a pipeline that specializes in produce loads, because that's how a lot of these networks work. The drugs don't just move, they ride under legit freight. Shout out. You don't move that amount unless you're in a node, in a much bigger machine. And what's wild is that these weren't interstate stops. These trucks were just parked stationary, already inside the state. They got lucky on that one. That means whoever was running this felt comfortable enough to let 1 million plus in product just set in a driveway. I mean, they might have got sketched out. 3 men have been hit with state charges so far, but 700 plus keys, state charges ain't really gonna be the end. That's just the beginning while the feds sit back and build the conspiracy. Wait for somebody to flip and the domino effect. This case is nowhere near done. You'll be hearing more of it. I'll be giving y'all an update. Let's go to case 2. Operation on Take Back America in Harrisonburg, Pennsylvania. Now, this next one is part of a much bigger trend. The country. 11 people in Harrisonburg, ages ranging from mid-20s to early 50s, got swept up under a superseding indictment tied to ice, fatty, and blow. This wasn't a small circle either. This was part of a DOJ national initiative called Operation Take Back America. A federal push aimed at tearing down cartel-linked TCO networks and the domestic crews moving their product. Here's what stood out. The conspiracy ran from September 2023 to May 2025. Multiple defendants charged with possession of firearms and furtherance of trafficking, 2 charged with maintaining drug premises. The operation involved FBI, state police, attorney general's office, and local violent crime units, all in the same room. That tells you the scale that the feds don't gather that many agencies for a street level crew. They do that for networks with suppliers up the chain and all that good stuff. A lot of people don't understand this part. When the feds say conspiracy, that's not vague. That's not a vague word. That's a legal weapon. It lets them pull in everybody from, the organizer to the person who let somebody stash something at their place or in their house one time. Watch your back out there, people. The max penalty on these charges are life. Not because they'll get life, but because the feds use that number to make people talk. Remember, nobody talks, everybody walks. This case is just the beginning too. I'll be covering more on that later. Let's talk about case 3, the Sesame Street Fetty toy in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Shout out Fort Lauderdale. Now this one shows you how reckless, these smuggling methods can be. They are getting, swept up. A Mexican national named Guillermo Higuera, German, 37, got pulled over in a vehicle where vehicles found over 50,000 F-word pills hidden inside a child's Sesame Street style toy bus. That's about 5 keys of Fetty pills disguised as something for a kid. During the stop, a narcotics canine alerted. They popped the vehicle and found boxes packed with pills. On top of that, this man had already been deported 5 times. He's already had his final notice, and now he's facing both drug charges and immigration charges under a new DOJ unit called BICE, Border and Immigration Crimes Enforcement. This team was built specially to target smuggling networks, moving product, and people through South Florida. What this case tells you is simple. The methods are getting more creative because the pressure is getting heavier. When someone hides tens of thousands of pills in a kid's toy, it means they're trying to blend in to the most harmless, innocent visual possible. And it's not working, All it takes is one time, you guys. Let's talk about case number 4, the gas station fentanyl death. It happened in St. Louis. Alright, this one is tragic and real, and it needs to be told the right way. In St. Louis, a man named Victor Mora, 41, just got sentenced to 15 years in federal prison for supplying fentanyl, and that caused 1 fatal and 2 non-fatal ODs. Alright, here's how it went down. Alright, December 2nd, 2023, Mora pulls up on 3 men at a gas station, offers to take them to get blow, collects $140. It leads them to another spot where he buys capsules from people in the street and tells the victims it's coke. They go right back to the gas station and use it in the car, and minutes later, all three are unconscious. Two survived, one didn't. Prayers to their family. Police found the capsules, lab tested the items, and it was pure fentanyl. Alright, the DEA made a statement reminding people that today experimentation can be fatal because you don't know exactly what's in anything anymore. Alright, and here's the part the news doesn't usually say. Mora was already on supervised release for a 2018 robbery, meaning he was already supposed to be proving to the court, he would operate responsibly in society. Instead, he handed out poison dressed up as something else completely different. And somebody had to die for it, unfortunately. And the feds didn't play with that sentencing either. They smoked his boots, prayers for their family. Everybody be careful out there, be safe, carry Narcan, and, pray for everybody still in the street. Now, here's why I do this show. I break these cases down because I know the places these decisions come from. And I know what it looks like when people chase a shortcut. I've lived the chaos. I've been around the wrong worlds, wrong people, wrong chemicals, wrong risks, and it was never worth it. But I survived those things, and I shouldn't have. Those things damn near ended me. Now I take all that knowledge, all that raw experience, and I turn it into something people can learn from. And that's what I'm trying to do here. Instead of running headfirst, into a wall, I'm trying to not glamorize anything. I'm not trying to romanticize it. This isn't about being the rawest or being the realest. It's about being the most honest, educated, and clear, and giving, the audience something the major networks don't. Context. Because the headline is never exactly the whole story. But, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. If you're watching this, I appreciate it. But if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you're returning, you already know. Every week, a couple times a week, we break down the real cases shaping our country, from the border seizures to corruption to trafficking networks to fraud schemes to white collar stuff to theft to burglary. No fear, no hype, just facts and lived insight behind them. I'll see y'all on the next one. Everyone stay safe, stay smart. This is Fed by Fire. I'm Christian Whitlow. Thank y'all.